It is, in fact, a Friday, and I actually shot another video, which I still might put up, but I decided to do this one instead. I'm going to have to use some language in this video, which I cannot actually use in a video. So I'm going to be cutting some audio out of this video. You can read my lips. No new taxes, no. But I have to get the impression of what actually happened. At least when I'm telling a story, I've got to use the language, and then you'll figure out what's going on. But it's important to understand this. I occasionally get emails of a certain sort. Not talking about spam. I'm talking about emails sent to me on purpose, where somebody who watches my videos or knows who I am somehow, knows that I make videos, will send me an email. And the one I got was just a couple days ago, but it was the most extreme one I've seen in a while. But a guy sent me an email and says, "Dear Steve Lehto." And he continued and said, I watch your videos, and you're always doing these videos about things like license plates and parking tickets and other bullshit. And there's important stories out there that you ought to be doing, such as, and then he mentioned a story I'd never heard of. He goes, the such and such case, and he named a case. Now, there's a chance that I could have Googled it to find out what he was talking about. But I wanted to keep reading because I was fascinated by his amazing use of the King's English, which we can now say again because it's a king. However, I also get those from time to time where people just say, "Steve, do something on the Johnson case." Which Johnson case is that? And I've actually written someone back and go, "What are you talking about?" And they go, "The Johnson case." Okay, if I didn't understand the first time you said the Johnson case, it's not clarifying it by saying the Johnson case. But the guy sends me the email and he goes, "Dear Steve Lehto," and then said, "You do all these videos about things like parking tickets and license plates when you should be doing more important cases like," and he names a case. And he goes, "I don't understand why you do all this bullshit. You're such a fucking asshole. The fact that you waste your time and our time on these stupid fucking videos on topics nobody gives a shit about, and when you could be doing something on the such and such case." And then he said, and here's where it gets interesting. Then he said, "I understand that my language might be a little coarse language." He goes, "But that's just how I am." And then he signed his name. "That's just how I am." And he signed his name. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. I've gotten other emails from people who've used profanity directed at me and have said, "Just so you know, that's how I talk to everybody." I got news for you. If that's how you talk to everybody, you should probably dial it down a little bit. There are occasions where you should watch your speech. And now I'll give you an example. I'm not saying this is a direct apples to apples comparison here, but if you were to go into court, for instance, and you were to stand up in front of the judge and say, "Your Honor, I'm here today about a speeding ticket." There's a good chance you keep that up, you might wind up in jail for contempt. I'm just pointing that out as a lawyer. You need to use appropriate language in appropriate places. Now, I'm not saying I'm a judge, nor am I saying this is a courtroom, because it's not. But when you write an email to somebody who makes videos and you want to influence them, think back about, how to win friends and influence people. By starting out, "Dear Steve," that's a nice start. But saying the next two words, "fuck you," that's a problem. Now, here's the thing. You are allowed to do that. There's no law against telling someone, you can do that. Absolutely, you are legally allowed to do that. There are all kinds of things in this world that you are legally allowed to do that you still probably shouldn't do. Okay? So if you wanted to today you could probably, as long as you were wearing a shirt and shoes, walk into a Walmart in your underwear and walk around in your underwear. You probably could. Should you? Heavens no. Does anybody want to see that? No. Should you do it? No. Are you legally allowed to do it? Probably. I say probably because it depends on the condition of your underwear. However, the point is that let's get back to the letter writer who said, "Dear Steve," we'll just refer to him as the "Dear Steve" emailer. He sat down at his computer and typed an email and sent it to somebody, which presumably took some time. Time is money. Time is valuable. We don't get our time back. So the fact that you spent your time doing that indicates that you were hoping to get something from it. I'm assuming you lived your life on a cost-benefit analysis, right? There are certain things that you want to accomplish, and you put your time into it. But if it's going to take too much time, you wouldn't do it. So why would you spend all that time hammering out an email and emailing it to somebody and start it with, "Dear Steve, Lehto"? Do you think that's going to encourage me or discourage me from doing what you want me to do? That is a video about some topic that is near and dear to your heart, but not mine, apparently. And the answer is no, it's not going to encourage me to do that. In fact, all it's going to encourage me to do is not respond and block your email. So if you are encouraged to write more "Dear Steve Lehto" emails, I won't even see them. I won't even know they exist. I don't care. But I just have gotten a few of those. And then when somebody is self-aware enough to say, "By the way, I understand my language is a little rough or coarse," or whatever he said, "that's just how I am," makes it sound like you're incapable of controlling it. Is it really like the Hulk where once it starts happening, you can't stop? If you're capable of writing the sentence, "That's just how I am," you are just as capable of going back and deleting the "Dear Steve Lehto, you do these videos on traffic tickets and license plates. Why don't you do a video on this topic I consider important to myself?" And you understand that if you had deleted the and bullshit and assholes and all the names he called me, because there were more, the email itself is a lot like emails I get all day long, 7 days a week, from people who say, "Steve, have you seen this story? Have you seen this story?" And occasionally, some people will write me polite letters and say, "Steve, I'm curious. You talked about this in the news, this in the news, this in the news, but you didn't talk about this. Is there some reason?" And quite often, two most common reasons. One is I'm waiting to see if the story will play out any further, which has happened a few times lately, by the way. Or it's heavily political. And I can't talk about it because it's heavily political. And if I came on here and said, "I'm doing a video about this, but I'm going to avoid the politics of it," some people would go, "Why are you bothering to do it? That's like, dehydrated water." Okay, you doesn't really work. But the other thing is that there are some topics, it doesn't matter which side you take. You're going to piss off both sides. What does that accomplish? And so as long as there are topics for me to do that fit in the category of things I talk about, and I think I can do it without getting political, that's what I do. And I've told that, and I've said that out loud on camera many times. I don't do politics here. This is not a political channel. I don't do politics here. Okay? But back to the guy who said, "I understand this language is coarse, but that's just how I am," implies that he's incapable of editing himself even afterwards. Now, we've all done that before. We've written an email, hit send, and we spot a typo. And you wish you could bring it back, but you can't. That's a little different. But if you actually put in your email, da-da-da-da-da, 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 but I'm aware of what's up here, but there's nothing I can do about it. Nothing I can do about it. I look at that and go, no, there's something you could have done about it, but you chose not to. And so that's really what I get from an email like that is, "Hey, dude, I saw a couple of your videos. I don't like what you do. I think and they just a bunch of insults, and then say they have the right to do that because I didn't do their favorite topic, which, by the way, I still didn't know what the case was. And I had somebody do that to me the other day where they said, cover this case, and they just gave me a name. And I looked at it. It was too common of a name. I said, I don't know what case you're talking about. And they just repeated it. I'm like, doesn't help me any. Doesn't help me any. So that's the story. I did get the email. Dear Steve Lehto. Blah, 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 blah. And I get those from time to time. So I doubt the person's watching this because, number one, it's on my backup channel. And number two, I don't think that person's a regular viewer because they would understand that that wouldn't accomplish anything. But I am going to tell you something that while we've been talking, I don't think it's been picked up by the microphone. There is a turkey gobbling right over there. Gobble, gobble. So I'm going to go see if I can get some pictures of that from my Facebook page. And if I get them, I'll let you know. Otherwise, talk to you later. Bye-bye.